Last time we left off when you and Dad were courting and he was in the Army and you were keeping in touch. Would you like to pick up from there?
Okay, all I want to do is kind of reminisce about my childhood and young life. I remember my brother and I, each month, except for the winter time when it was bad, we would walk down to this base on Division Avenue. I think it was around Hall Avenue, that we would make the monthly mortgage payments at our home on Burton Street. We would walk there, my brother and I. He taking the money because he was the oldest and the boy in the family. I remember the clerk writing down in a little book that she kept that payment and the date. And Mom checking it out as soon as we got home to make sure it was recorded. And I remember the men, my father and a bunch of other Italian men that lived in the area, would stand on the corner and just get together and talk about probably the old country and about their families.
Oh, this was
jobs.
this was your days on Graham Street when you were a little girl.
On Graham Street. There was a lot of Italian families in that area, and we all attended Our Lady of Sorrows Church. Eventually, little by little, the Italians moved out away from that area, but Mom and I still attended Our Lady of Sorrows Church. But Dad wouldn't go there because he said Father Chelsea was one of those brimstone preachers that told you were going to hell because we were all sinners. And my dad did not like that at all. So he attended St. Andrew's Church. For many years it went this way, until eventually, for some reason, he decided he's going to go back to Our Lady of Sorrows. But he always went to the earlier masses, and Mom and I went to the later ones. My brother, trying to get him out of bed to do anything except to go fishing. If he had to get up to go to school or whatever, it was the hardest thing. But if he said he was going fishing the next morning, he was up before anybody else and was ready to go. I remember one time he had to go somewhere special, but they couldn't get him up. So I said, Frank, you gotta get up, we gotta get going. And he refused to move. So I said, I'll fix you. So I went and got a washcloth with cold water. I put it over his face. He jumped up and was madder than a wet hen. Don't ever do that again, he said. I said, I had to get you up somehow. And I got him up. He got over it. But he wasn't too happy about that. And I also remember when we were kids that I had the prettiest little doll buggy. And I do believe this was on Graham Street, because if I had a doll buggy, I was a lot younger. And I remember that I looked and the wheels were gone on the buggy. So I went in and told my mom. And I said, Frank took the wheels off my buggy. And she was so mad at him. And she says, Frank, why did you do that? He said, well, I needed some wheels for my soapbox car. He said, so those are the only ones that could get found. But oh boy, she was so mad. So I don't know what happened after that. I never did get the wheels back. But I had the prettiest little doll anyway, that's all that mattered to me. And as a child, I was always sick. Twice I had pneumonia and ear infections. And I was not allowed to go out and play in the wintertime for the fear that I might catch pneumonia again. And I remember going to the parks in the summertime. And I had to cool it. I couldn't play hard or go on the swing or the slides or anything. Because as soon as I got overheated, or whatever, my nose would start bleeding. So I had evidently broken a little vein in my nose. It was very sensitive. So eventually Mom took me and my godmother took me, Rose, can't even think of it, Asta, took me to the doctor, and the doctor checked me over, and he looked at it and everything, and he told us what the problem was, that the vein on there was very sensitive, and not to worry. He says by the time she's 7 years old, that will heal, and she won't have that problem again. And he was right. I don't know if the guy was a messenger from God, but by 7 years old, I never had a nosebleed again. It must have healed enough. But anyway, like I say, they were still very cautious about my playing out in the winter time because they didn't want me to get pneumonia again. And I remember one time the doctors at that time were coming to the house when you needed them. And they called the doctor, and the doctor came and he says, he says, do you make homemade wine? And my dad says, yes. He says, give her a little glass of wine. This will help her bring up the congestion from her chest. And believe it or not, it worked. And it just amazes me how back in those days, if you needed a doctor, all you had to do is call them up, and they'd come with their little black bags to take care of their patients.
Didn't you get a shot of penicillin when it was first
Yes.
came out?
The second time I had pneumonia, I was very, very serious. And the doctor says, I don't know, he says, it looks pretty bad. He says, we're going to try to do the best we can to help her. He says, I remember my dad saying, what can we do? The doctor said, well, we have a new medicine now. He says, I don't know much about it. He says, but it's a shot of penicillin. And this is supposed to help the people that have pneumonia, serious lung problems with congestion and that. He says, you want to try it? My dad says, yes, I think it'll help. And so they must have given me the shot. I don't remember. All I remember is feeling just terrible. I could hear the voices, but I had a very high fever, and it was hard for me to breathe. A day or two later, the fever broke. I think it was a day or two. Anyway, it was very soon afterwards. And once the fever broke, I said, okay, she's going to be all right. And I didn't have any more pneumonias after that. But it amazes me. All the ear infections, and all the colds, and all the trouble I had as a child, that I somehow have survived to be 81 years old. I'm still going. I hurt. I have arthritis, high blood pressure, but I keep going and do the best I can each day, and I thank the Lord for each day that He gives me.